Alright everybody, please welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Brendan Berry-Cotter, the voice actor for Masa from Metarunner. Thank you so much again for being here, Brendan. How you doing?
I'm not too bad. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing good. It's like 9:30 my time, but hey, you know you gotta live sometimes, eh?
Well, that's the thing about time zones. It's always some time for something somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, before I actually get into some questions, since my subscribers may or may not be familiar with Metarunner, if I could please ask you to give a brief description of the character you play in Metarunner Season 1 and an impersonation of that character if that's not too much trouble.
Oh wow, on the spot impersonation. So Masa's one of those ones that usually takes me a bit to warm up with, because it's a pretty full-on voice. But yeah, the character I voiced in Metarunner is Masa Shimamoto. He's the leader of MD5. He's known for trying to seek out revenge on Lux, so he's looking at any way to get back at Tazcore to unveil the horrible things that they've done. And if I have to describe my character, he's sort of dark, edgy, a bit vulnerable, he's an interesting character, and he tends to talk a lot deeper like this.
Man.
So very different to my regular voice, he's. I'm just trying to think of a good quote. You know, games are all about making the right decisions at the right time. So yeah, I think a lot of contrast to my actual talking voice.
Yeah,
a lot of people are surprised when they hear it.
Makes sense. He's sort of the Batman of Metarunner, kind of. I don't know. But yeah, I imagine it's weird having.
Funny. Some people have compared the voice to that. So yeah, like you're not the first. Someone said that I sounded like Batman. Like I wasn't even trying for that. I haven't even seen the animated series.
Yeah, I've never really been a DC fan myself. I'm more so just a Marvel dude. But yeah, I imagine it's weird having all those people standing over Masa and whatnot. But you don't need to worry about that for me because I am what's known as a fandomist rationalis, or as it's more commonly known, an anti-simp.
Anti-simp. I don't know. I think Masa's just one of those characters in general. He stands out. So I understand that there might be hardcore fans of his, and then people that don't like him too. I mean, you get that with that sort of character that stands out, you know?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And but anyways, the first question, I'm probably sure we might have already answered this, but what do you like about the character you play?
What I like about him? There's a few things. I think on surface level, it's very easy just to dismiss Masa as a character who's just grumpy and impatient and like all these sort of negative traits. But I think at the core of it, like he does care so much. Like he cares about his team so much, and he cares about what's right at the end of the day. So sometimes I think the way he views things is how do we? Oh, Jesus, it's hard to sort of articulate. He wants to find the outcomes, to all these answers, and sometimes people might question his methods, but the intent's always good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense. I was trying to think of like another character in some other.
He'll take a risk. He'll take a risk because he thinks the people he cares about is worth risk.
Yeah, that totally makes a lot of sense. Good quality. Anyways, how long have you been a voice actor for?
Oh, geez. So, voice acting, okay, so would you define that by how long professionally or how long I've just been interested in voice acting? Because those are two separate things.
I guess maybe overall, I guess.
Alright, so, long ass story. So we're going to get real personal. So for voice acting for me, initially, I came into it sort of by accident. When I was younger, I went to a college that was for art. So I was playing piano, and so this was an artsy sort of college. And at the time I taught myself how to play piano, and my teacher, when they realized that, they said that your fingering on the piano is all wrong. You have to, if you want to learn to play piano properly, you're gonna have to like start from scratch. It literally will be like learning to crawl, to walk, to run again, and I was heartbroken. I was really devastated. I really wanted to be a pianist more than anything.
Oh man, that's gotta suck. I feel for you.
But I went, well, I still have to pass this course. What do I do? And so I got into singing. What the funny thing about singing to me was, when I would sing, I was a good singer. I still think I am alright. But I never felt like it was my voice. So what I would do is I'd listen to something and then I'd mimic the singer. And so to me, I think that should have been the first inkling that I had the ability to voice act, because there was an ability to replicate, what other artists were doing, and then make that my own. If that makes sense. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
There should have been an inkling at the time that there was something there. But then around all that time, so in my teens, I sadly had a sister pass away, and so when my sister passed away, it was a lot of strain on me personally, and I moved out of home and was homeless around 16, 17.
Oh wow.
So it was a really hard time in my life. Sorry, I don't know if we want to get this personal, but it's all the truth. It's all how I got into voice acting. So so part of it was I had to complete this course, so I found I could copy singing. But then when I was homeless, at one point I was living with a friend, and he used to watch Dragon Ball Z in the mornings.
Oh, Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and so he loved Dragon Ball. And so what I sort of did was, whenever he put it on, like, oh, Dragon Ball Z, what, you're gonna scream all the time? My hair's gonna go blonde. It's just like, can you stop being a jerk? Just either watch this and shut up, or go into the other room, because we're trying to enjoy this. So I was sort of a jerk, and so I started watching it, and I was like, okay, I'm slowly starting to figure out what's going on, and so I started liking some of the characters. So I was a real jerk to my friend about it at first.
Yeah, then again, that's just kind of the...
I'm constipated, I'm gonna scream for days. But I started liking some of the characters. And then one time, after I started liking some of the characters, like I started liking Vegeta, I thought he was cool. And then essentially Cell was winning. I'm like, oh, what the hell, So I was invested then. I was enjoying it. So I ended up liking Dragon Ball Z. And then he said, hey, there's a convention coming up, where Sean Shemmel, the voice of Goku, will be there.
Oh,
I was like,
wow.
Hell yeah, that would be really cool. I want to meet that guy.
Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
And at the time, one of the characters I started liking was Android 17. So my first ever cosplay was Android 17. So because I liked Android 17 so much, I was cosplaying as him. I was trying to mimic his voice. So I think that was the first time that I tried to do something that wasn't just singing, but it meant, okay, that's interesting. If I can do his voice, can I do other voices? So then I would just mimic other Dragon Ball Z voice actors. So it was first, me mimicking Sean. So, oh hey everyone, it's Goku. So that sort of high pitched, Vegeta, no, we can't do this. And then I'd muck around and try to do Vegeta. You fight with me, Kakarot. And then Piccolo, wow, their power level, it's amazing.
It's over 9,000!
And then even the Brian Drummond, it's over 9,000! So I was just mimicking all these different voices. And then, funnily enough, people were like, hey, that's really good. You should do animations or something. I can't animate. So then I started talking to people who were able to do Dragon Ball Z art. And a few of them I did some Flash stuff with, and through that's how voice acting became more a thing, because people knew I could mimic these characters.
Yeah, and you're really good with them.
I Well, that's just practice. Like, I mean, like I worked on it a lot, and I really loved Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah.
Dragon Ball was just one of those series that just, I mean, when I was going through all that like scary time of being like homeless and whatnot, like I'd just be like, nah, I gotta be stronger than this. I gotta, like, they were sort of my heroes in a way. Like I'd be like, well, if they can do it, deal with what they're dealing with, I can deal with what I'm dealing with, you know? It's funny how I get it when people become a fan of something and they say, this helped me in a hard time in my life. Because I lived that with Dragon Ball, and like ever since, like I've told prominent voice actors to Dragon Ball like how much it meant to me in hard times. So I get it when people say like series like matter to them, or they understand a character, or they feel bad for a character and that, because we're all dealing with our own different things. But yeah, sorry, I know it's such a tangent, but that's how voice acting sort of became something I got into.
Wow.
I was interested in other voice actors, and people said, oh, that's really cool, you can do that with your voice. And I never intended for that to be a thing.
Wow.
But then I was like, it's sort of fun, being able to do these voices.
Wow.
And as a result, just in my mid-20s, I went, okay, I'll go a bit more serious in this. And then I was doing abridging for a bit. And through abridging, I met some of my best friends, my wife, and yeah.
Wow.
So we were in a series way back. Unfortunately, there's no good copies of it anymore, because it was on YouTube, called Outlaw Star Abridged, where I voiced the main hero, which was called Gene Starwind. So Gene Starwind was this plucky, upbeat guy, but he was sort of goofy, so he would always manage to screw things up. And boy, did he like women and liquor. Like he was just this over-the-top character. And then he had this little sidekick called Jim Hawking. And Jim Hawking was voiced by Robert. And so we just randomly said, hey, why don't we organize to meet up for a con? And so I flew to America, and we were there with like the other voice actors, and it was an amazing time. And just not planning it, like me and Robert just then became a couple. We're just hanging out all the time.
Wow. Yeah,
it was crazy. Voice acting is a huge part of my life.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate times you went through, but wow, look how it came around for you at the end of the day, didn't it?
Well, yeah, and I think it's strange. I'll say this to anyone who's going through stuff. At the time, you may not be able to see what's at the end of the week. You're sitting there going I don't know how much more I can handle. What I can take, and I'm suffering, I'm in pain, but life is really strange that way. It can take those sort of turns. So it's always better just to ride things out, persevere, and it's that sort of thing. If you don't go through some sort of suffering, you don't gain from it either.
Yeah, that is definitely a rather true fact. 2019, I'm not going to get into it, but 2019 was a terrible year for me. But I came around at the end of the year, and here I am now.
And I think it's really difficult when you're just dealing with all the pain that you're dealing with in your life, to know where it's going to go. But I heard a good quote years ago by Steve Jobs. And the quote was, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. So the things you have done lead into different things that you may never have done if you'd not gone through something, or maybe someone had suggested something to you and you had either listened to that advice or ignored that advice. But it's just one of those things. You have some faith that the things that you're doing still tie into where you are now. in positive ways, not just negative ways. Look at the positive as well for how that happens.
Yeah, that probably helps out to some of my subscribers who may or may not be going through stuff like that. So yeah, take a little wisdom from Trixon over here.
Yeah, and look, everyone has different things they have to do. So it's not about comparing my circumstances to your circumstances. But even okay, here's another way to put it. Sometimes, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sometimes you need a bit of bullshit for something to grow. You can't plant something without some fertilizer, right?
Yeah, I definitely see the logic behind that.
So sometimes you have to deal with some bullshit just to get something good to come out of it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
So sorry to be a bit vulgar, but it's the truth.
Yeah, that is true. Sometimes you just need the cold hard facts, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah.
Sorry, you go ahead.
Okay, well, anyways, next question. What other films or shows or etc. have you actually starred in?
So, okay, films or shows. Okay, so film-wise, not much. I've just done like independent stuff. So like primarily before I was a voice actor, I was an actor. So I was studying theater and music theater. So I have a background in that sort of thing. So I've got a Cert 4 in music theater, Cert 3 in theater performance practices. So I have that experience. God damn. Sorry, I'm so tired. I need another coffee. What was the question? Can you ask it again?
What other films or shows have you starred in?
Roger. So I have an acting background, but that has more taken a backseat to voice acting these days. So I for acting, I've done like just small indie film stuff, like no one would know, like it was just for film festivals and whatnot, so it's not like really a big accreditation to my name. Apart from that, like voice acting is so primarily on YouTube and Newgrounds. So I did like different like animation shorts. I was really well known for doing a series called Ultimate Cartoon Fighting with a friend who passed away some years ago. Mike Smith was a really talented soul, and so it was really sad when he passed away. But he was doing that, and people loved that series. So it was just a bunch of cartoon characters fighting each other in a giant brawl, and I got to do some DBZ voice actors for that, so that was fun. But apart from that, like they're just odd things, like some of the boring things about being a voice actor, you're not always doing character stuff. Sometimes you're just doing answering machines. So like saying hello, you've called this company and please leave your name and number. Like it's just a mixed bag. Sometimes as a voice actor, you'll get different gigs. Not all of them necessarily have to be character work, but yeah.
Yeah, but variety is a nice thing,
Well, I mean, yeah, there's definitely stylized differences between say doing character work and then doing an office call center, or if you had to do a novel that like, so you're doing an audio novel. I haven't done one of them yet. I'm sort of scared to do an audio novel. It looks like a lot to bite into, but I know other friends who are voice actors who have. I don't know. It looks really daunting to me.
That's okay. Just take your time and just do your thing. That's kind of all I got to say to that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like a huge mammoth undertaking. Go ahead.
All right. Next question. What's your favorite film and why?
Okay, so this is really, really difficult because I'll be honest with you, I can't just pick one film, because I love movies. To me, that's a hard thing because I have so many genres I love. So like, sometimes I like just silly movies like Step Brothers. Like, I think Step Brothers is a really funny, stupid movie. And then I like, movies that make you think, like The Big Lebowski, for example. I like it because like there's just all these different clever little jokes in it.
That makes sense.
And then I don't know, like there are just so many movies I like for different reasons. Like I won't lie, I'm a huge nostalgia guy, so I like a lot of older movies from my childhood. Like I know, like Labyrinth and fantasy genres like Willow and that. I grew up on that stuff. I definitely loved as a kid the first Star Wars trilogy.
Oh yeah, Star Wars. Good stuff. I don't care what people say about the sequel trilogy. I personally liked it, but I can point out its flaws.
I mean, yeah, everyone's gonna have their own things, but like to me, there's never gonna be not gonna be a place in my heart for the original trilogy. Because to me, at the time, that was like revolutionary. It was like, oh my goodness, it feels like they're like really writing, those giant like monsters and fighting like these epic space battles.
Yeah, I imagine. I namely grew up with the the Clone Wars era, so that's namely like the show Star Wars: The Clone Wars. That show was my childhood.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say good stuff about that series. Was that the one on Cartoon Network, or is that a different one?
Yeah, it is the one on Cartoon Network, the 3D animated one. The series finale was this year, back in May, on Disney+.
Yeah, I'd heard some good things about that. I haven't seen it personally yet.
Yeah.
I was, getting into Star Wars would be just a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it would be, probably.
But, let me think. So, drama? Okay, so generally what I like is I like movies that have come from usually a book. Like that's just how it is. Like, so I mean, I'm not saying that movies can't be good if they're not from a book, but Michael Crichton, like he wrote Jurassic Park. I love the original Jurassic Park. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, and so he's made some amazing movies, like The Green Mile.
Oh, The Green Mile. My dad actually loves that movie.
It's the one that just destroys me. Like, it's sort of like knowing I'm not going to be okay watching it, but I watch it anyway because I hate myself and still like come out crying. So like, yeah, The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, I love as a movie. But you see what I mean? Like, usually movies that come from a writer are usually ones I like. However, like it's not the exception, like to the rule or anything. Sometimes I just like movies that are silly. Like, I'm not above a dick or fart joke, from a movie. I'm not like, up myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I love Idiocracy is one of those movies, like, because it's a Mike Judge film, and it's just, in the future. It kept going, like, and people kept getting stupid on how it would end up, and it's just a silly movie to watch and enjoy.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
A whole plethora of basic movies, like Coen Brothers is just generally a good rule of thumb. They're really good writers, and they're really clever with their writing. Kevin Smith, it's just a ton of movies, man. Like, I feel really bad. I don't want to be like giving you a cop-out answer, but yeah, I just love movies.
Yeah, it's totally understandable. For me, it's simply narrowing it down to namely one or two genres, just robots and science fiction. It all started back in 2008 with the Disney movie Wall-E. Frick, that's because I want to be a robotics engineer when I grow up and potentially an astronaut, so Wall-E is where it actually all started for me,
I saw that movie. I saw about...
Oh my god, it is...
I was traveling somewhere.
Yeah, it is perhaps one of the most beautiful movies that I have actually ever seen in my life. And, there's just more than just the whole polluting Earth and how robots can have feelings too, but there's just a whole bunch of other morals that, I watched it back in January, shortly after a couple months after I turned 18 years old. I watched it for the first time in over a decade, and I was like, holy crap, there are so many more hidden messages that I didn't see until now.
Well, that's Pixar for you. They're always layering stuff.
Yeah, but, expanding on robots, it evolved from there to, like, Transformers, and now, these days, I'm a really big fan of Pacific Rim.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Wasn't there were they doing a second one?
They already did a second one, and let's just say it was a disaster compared to the first movie, because, yeah, the first movie is truly good, because between Guillermo del Toro's, graphics work, making the Jaegers really look and feel like giant robots, and then just the beautiful music by Ramin Djawadi and Tom Morello, oh man, it is a masterpiece.
Did you say Ramin Djawadi?
Yeah, Ramin Djawadi. He's the same guy who made the music for Game of Thrones and Iron Man, if my knowledge is correct.
He also did the soundtrack for World of Warcraft, another movie I enjoyed. Yeah, he's an amazing composer.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Oh my goodness. There's so many. I'm getting off topic, but like I could fanboy over him. Like his music's incredible. I loved his score in like Game of Thrones was incredible. Like the Light of Six, I think it was called, and the Reigns of Castamere. Like I'm pretty sure he composed that one.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's talented as all heck.
Yeah, definitely. I can't find myself going a day without listening to a soundtrack from Pacific Rim, whether it's the main theme or whether it's like the theme of one of the Jaegers like Gypsy Danger, because, you know, his music, it kind of gives the Jaegers kind of their own little theme of sorts, like Striker, the Australian Jaegers like Fast and Arrogance, you know, Crimson Typhoon is all Chinese and ninja-like, and so on.
He's definitely talented. Like, look at songs like The Night King from Game of Thrones, and then the suspense that builds up in that, and like just beautiful. He knows how to layer his music. Yeah, incredible. And we're sitting here talking about voice acting instead of talking about him.
Yeah,
I just think he's incredible. Like a huge fanboy. Like his stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we both kind of drifted a little bit off topic here, haven't we?
Who wants to talk about me? Let's talk about other cool stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's good to know a bit more in depth about people, you know?
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, yeah, I guess that's part of it. Like, you're interviewing me, you want to know what I'm interested in. Yeah, I love music. And I've always been a bit weird in the sense that for me, enjoying music was never just about what lyrically was good, but what I loved movie scores. Like, I love scores to movies. Like, Star Wars was, I think, the first one because, you know, John Williams is a master.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely.
Like, if you're listening to music at any point and you start getting chills, like, down your spine, you know, like, when I first heard Jewel of Fates, when it first came out.
Oh, yeah, that.
It's such a great build-up with crescendos, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is definitely one of the more famous soundtracks in the Star Wars franchise, isn't it?
And that's funny because even though critics pan episode, oh goodness, I'm getting all mixed up.
Yeah, it was episode 1, Phantom Menace.
No one can deny that Jewel of Fates was a fantastic sound, just a track. It stood out. It was so moving and powerful. You know, that it doesn't matter if you didn't like the movie, you can't deny Jewel of Fates was an epic song.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, I don't know, he's a master of composition. And the thing I love about John Williams is, like, his stuff is all completely different from movie to movie. Like, there might be a few motifs that you might hear and go, oh, that's John Williams. But in terms of things like Jurassic Park is different to Indiana Jones, is different to Star Wars, is different to E.T. Like, he's just so good.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, what's your favorite part about being a voice actor for Metarunner?
Favorite part? Okay. So this is going to be a tough one to describe, but I'll do my best. I'm not just a voice actor for Metarunner. I'm also a fan of Metarunner. So that's a weird thing to be at the same time, because you'll record something, and you'll remember like really getting into the acting, but then you sort of forget about doing that thing. And then when you see it come out, it's weird. You're like, it's like deja vu, where you vaguely remember something being recorded, but when you see it, it's different. You're watching it through new eyes, you know? So I think that's one of the benefits of being a voice actor for a series that you like, is watching it anew. Even recording it. Like, you think, oh, well, I might know where some of the story goes, so that would ruin it. No, It doesn't ruin it. Like it was weird. The first time I saw my character show up in the series, I had this weird feeling. It's the best way I can do it is like deja vu. It feels like deja vu. It's familiar, but it's not. It's different, you know?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
You know what? In theory, you know what should be happening. So if we're talking about season 1, in season 1, I knew Masa was going to have his arm shot. I knew it, but I wasn't ready. So even knowing it was going to happen and then seeing it happen, there was a disconnect. And I winced when I saw it. I'm like, oh, I'm like, how does that even happen when you know what's going to happen? But they're so good, right? They're so good at like editing it and modeling it that you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen, but I'm not ready for it, and it feels like it might not happen. You know, like it's a funny feeling, man.
Yeah, it is really weird.
So a benefit is I do know where the story's going, but it doesn't ruin it for me. You know, like at least in parts. So like there are things we don't know, obviously, but it feels so rewarding to see it like come to life afterwards. And so that's the best thing about being in part of it, because you at the end of the day go, wow, I got to help make that, you know, and you have a real appreciation for how other people make you look good. Because as a voice actor, I do my lines, and I have no idea. It's in other people's hands, you know. So I might think that I nailed my lines, but what does it matter unless, you know, the director and the riggers for the animation, if they don't get it right, like all these details like matter so much. So I am nothing but grateful. Like I just get to voice an amazing character, but they bring it to life.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, I can very much so say kind of the same thing about Analyst and what we're doing, because I'm not exactly a professional voice actor. I'm namely just kind of an artist, but you know, I decided to try my hand at voice acting because since 2016 I've actually been doing a YouTube channel. So I was mostly making like video game commentaries, like let's plays, and some other content here and there, you know?
It's stranger though. Like I'm not trying to dismiss what you're saying. But when you think of it this way, so that's one team you've got, right, of so many people. Imagine when that team gets even bigger.
Yeah, that's definitely what it's been doing.
Bigger. And then imagine then, like, just the list of credits are huge. You know, like you're not even in that high in the percentage of like accreditation. Like when so many people work on something, it actually makes you feel really small.
Yeah, it kind of does.
At the same time, like you realize how talented everyone is. Like my goodness, like I can't fathom how hard those people work. And especially when they give themselves deadlines and they hit those deadlines. Like just think about being at university or something and cramming for a test, right? It must feel like that for them. They must always be working so hard to just get it out and to get things happening. And the amount of effort I think it takes to even make, if they were to make one episode, I think would blow most people's minds.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, definitely.
It'd be really cool, actually, if the boys interviewed like the other staff, like who did like the animation, because I'm sure it'd be fascinating to pick their brains.
Yeah, it might be. It definitely would be, because we've namely seen, you know, the videos with like, you know, the Metarunner VAs like Celeste, Robin, Jess, and David reading like the memes in the comments.
But yeah, I don't know, like they're probably too busy to do it. But whenever I've been in their presence, I just want to pick their brains. I think they're the most interesting people. And hardworking too.
Yeah, that's definitely a valid argument, because you know the voice actors, you know, they're just kind of mainly giving voices to those characters, and plus like the animators and whatnot, you know, they're the kind of ones who put it into like the visual spectrum. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's I mean, I don't think anyone how to put it. I think it's a marriage of skill and ability. So one can't look good without the other. You know what I mean? Like they both bolster each other. But to me, I know what it's like on my end. You know what I mean? Like, you know what it must look like? It must look like a magician. So you see a magician do a trick, and you go, "Wow, that was really fantastic. I wish I knew how I did that. They're amazing." Like how they did that. So I'm like that about them. I see what they do, and I'm fascinated to know how they did it, or what they do. It looks like magicians, right? But they might, who knows? They might even think the same about voice actors. How do they do that with your voice? I'm like, I don't know. I just do. I know how my vocal range works, and I've practiced over the years. So but that must be what it must be similar. Does that make sense? Like you have that feeling of awe when you see someone do something or excel in their craft.
Yeah, that's definitely kind of the feeling I get with a lot of the people I work with on Endless. Setting aside like the amazing artists we have, there's also these incredibly talented like composers and voice actors. They're all incredible, absolutely incredible in their own right. So I totally see what you're saying there.
Yeah, so it's, I don't know, I can't not talk about how awesome I think they are, because I think it's very, I feel a little guilty sometimes, because like as a voice actor, I love what I do and I love playing Masa, but I also don't want to be a glory hog because they make me look good. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. There's a good sense of humility.
Well, I don't think it's good for anyone to be too prideful of themselves. Like, I mean, a team is made of many people. And yeah, you really would notice if any of those pieces were taken away.
Yeah, I definitely would. Okay, well, I've just got one final question for you. How did you hear about MetaRunner?
So, initially, what happened was David was approached by someone and said, "Hey, there's a thing you might be interested in applying for," and so he did, and that was the role of Lux. At the time, they were looking for a boy character who would later be cast as Robin. Because Robin had in the past done voice acting roles as Jim Hawking, she already had a boy voice down. She could easily perform a voice. My goodness, my tongue is tied. Boy voice. So she was able to deliver that quite easily. It was just comfortable for her to do.
Yeah, she was doing pretty good.
At the time, she's like, you should try out for this thing. I was like, I've got to go to America. I've got I was at the time trying for I was doing a course in voice acting, so I had to go all the way to Texas because I was in a competition called Now Voice This, and I managed to make it to the finals. I'm like, hey, you know what? I want, like, for a few years, voice acting was on the back burner while I was just trying to survive. But then I was just like, you know what? No, I missed this. I want to go back for it.
Wow.
And so I did.
That's
and
really
so
cool.
when I went over there, I recorded a demo at Sound Cadence, which was recorded by oh my goodness, why is my brain not working?
It'd be like that sometimes.
It was recorded by the voice actress who voices the city, Amber. And so Amber helped me do my demo. And then I came back, and when I came back, Rob was like, "Oh, you got to see this thing that I'm in." And she's like, "It's for YouTube." I'm like, "Okay." So when she first said it was for YouTube, I thought it was going to be for some, like, just a small channel, and it would just be like an ad, something. But no, it was like way bigger than that. And I was like, "Wait a minute, this is a big thing." She's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "All right, this is interesting. If you know if they have any more auditions, let me know." And then the role for Masa came up, and so David was like telling me that I should go for it, and so was Robin. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I will. And I got the part.
Wow, that's actually a really interesting story you got there. One side question before we actually end things off. Now, Voices, you mentioned you were in like the finals and whatnot. So what's the grand prize if you're the winner?
So it changes from season to season. So it's never the same. Back then, it was huge. I believe it was to be a voice for a character on My Hero Academia, and that would have been really cool to win. But unfortunately, I didn't have the goods, and someone else won who was really talented, named Freddie Hines. Really nice guy, so I'm glad he won.
Huh.
But yeah, I would have loved to have gotten to be in My Hero Academia. But this time, like, so they keep doing it season by season, and for anyone who's aspiring voice actors, I would definitely follow them on Twitter and sign up for future rounds. You can learn quite a lot from seeing the other entries and testing your own ability and skill. But yeah, like this time round, I think it's going to be for a horror game.
Oh, horror game. Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, like I think it's a really good way for people who are aspiring actors to sort of test their acting chops and learn.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing. Okay, well, I think that's kind of all the questions I wanted to ask you, Brendan, so thank you again so dearly much for actually showing up here on the channel today.
That's all good. Yeah, sorry if I waffled on at points. I like to talk a lot.
No, it's okay, it's okay. It's you actually, much like Masa, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you actually have a lot of depth is what actually I learned about you. You're just a very in-depth person, and that's really cool.
I think most people are. I think, just to wrap up, I'd say people in general have a lot more depth, but we're used to, I think, a society of personas and whatnot. So if you look at media is just full of that. So you have people that are they're always on. Does it make sense? Like they're always having to perform, or they're like, especially actors. I think it's important for an actor to be genuine, but it's sometimes hard when you always are expected to be on for people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I think though, there's not much benefit in that. Not ultimately. Like, yeah, you might look good for public, but you're better off being you. You know, because at the end of the day, then no one can ever accuse you of being fake if you're being yourself.
Yeah, that is definitely probably one of the most true things you said in this interview thus far. But anyways, like I said, thank you again so much for coming on the show, and I really hope you have a good rest of your day down there.
Thank you very much, and I'll tell you this now. It won't be too long. Like at some point this year, we're going to see Meta Runner.
Yeah, make sure you guys get pumped for that, guys. Meta Runner Season 2 coming out this fall.
And I can't even hype it enough. Like, oh my goodness, it is just going to be so good. Like, I am just as excited as any fan. Like, I can't wait.
Yeah, nor can I. Well, anyways, that's gonna conclude this, so be sure to subscribe, leave comments down below, because I like them, and crank that like button to the max like Soldier Boy. Till then, I'm Hatfield15 with Brendan Berry-Cotter. Space out, bros and brositas.